So how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. It's nice to see you.
You too. I really don't know when I last saw you, like in the flesh.
Who knows? Who knows?
Such a long time ago. And how are you? What are you up to? Seem to be doing so many different things.
Yeah, sort of too many things, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're all fun things. So yeah, so we moved to Herefordshire about 3 years ago and started making cider. So that's sort of the main the main kind of thing, I guess. And then I'm still doing a bit of theatre work as well, although less so. Haven't done it for a year because of obvious reasons. But yeah, so sort of doing costume for theatre, cider, and then we've got 3 acres here, so sort of gardening as well, and doing bits and bobs like that.
Fantastic. Was that
Yeah.
something you always thought? Because you're in London originally. Did you, well, not originally, but like, so I know you from little depths of South Somerset, but for a long time, how long were you in London for?
10 years.
Wow. How are we
Yeah,
old enough? How are you old enough that you've been anywhere for 10 years?
I know. What's happened?
You know,
I find
we got grown up by accident. Um, so was it always on the cards to like move out to the sticks?
No, not at all. It happened really suddenly, actually. We were just
Right.
yeah, well, so my husband had been living in Germany and I'd been out there for a bit as well. And then we were both back in London sort of full time and just got, I don't know, just sort of felt like something was missing. So we we're like, oh, let's try living somewhere else. And we thought we were going to move to Bristol, and then kind of realized that actually we didn't want another city. We wanted to just kind of go completely the other end of the spectrum and be in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, I kind of just ended out here because Tom had a cousin who lived out here, so we used to come and visit quite a bit anyway. So sort of knew the area, and we both just kind of fell in love with it. And as for the side,
Amazing.
I have no idea how that happened really. I mean, Tom's been
Yeah.
for years, and then um, yeah, I just sort of got gradually kind of swept along with it, and I absolutely love it. I'm having so much fun doing it. So it's sort of definitely become a sort of joint project where it was going to be his very much sort of his project to begin with. So
Have you always
yeah,
been a cider drinker?
well, from Somerset, so
Yeah.
you can't escape it that easily. But yeah, I think I overdrank it possibly when my I certainly did get in London. It was yeah, there was definitely a gap, and it was a drink I kind of avoided really. And now I sort of drink it exclusively. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Well,
same.
well, water and all the things,
Yeah, exclusively.
not
This
just
isn't tea. Yeah.
how about you though? What have you been up to?
Similar, not really similar. But making websites for nearly 20 years now, which is
Oh,
crazy. But I also married a Tom who is from Herefordshire,
oh,
who, yeah. And so we had the whole Somerset versus Herefordshire, who makes the best cider thing.
oh yeah.
And now we have a cider orchard in Somerset. So it's really, yeah.
And I love that you planted a tree for every website you built as well. So that's fantastic. So you making
That's,
something as well, or are you getting a yield off the trees? Or
well, so when we first started in our first year, we planted a tree for every website we built. So that was about 14 years ago now. And they aren't cider apples, they're a mixture of all sorts, including plums. So that's just a nice fruit tree orchard. And at the time, we didn't have anywhere to plant it. So it was at Tom's parents' house. So we haven't seen much of that orchard for the last year. Um, so we get some fruit off there, but we're quite a long way away from it because that's actually in Worcestershire now. But no, then 3 years ago, we planted for 80, oh yeah, so for 18A's 10-year anniversary, we planted, because we'd done that the first year, when we hit the 10-year anniversary, we planted a cider orchard. And so we got a couple off it last year, not very much. We're hoping more this October time. This should be the time that we get a few more off it this time.
oh, brilliant! That's so exciting. That's
Yeah.
lovely.
But we've been making, so Tom, because Tom's dad's got other sources of apples up on where he is, up on his farm, we have made cider for, is this, you've made it twice. Yeah, made it twice. He'll be embarrassed. He didn't want to be, he's hiding in the background, but yeah, he's made it twice.
Brilliant. Oh yeah, it's a
How do
really
you, sorry, go on.
you go, you go. I was gonna say it's
What,
quite addictive to get going, but
yeah. Is it, am I saying it right? Because I've only ever seen your company name written, Artistraw.
yeah, that's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Edwardian word for shrew. It's sort of this old dialect word, but it's actually a corruption of the dialect word. So it's written in a few books as hardy straw. But there was this old neighbour of Tom's cousin who, like, famously mispronounced everything and called it an artistraw. And we just thought that was really charming. It's just such a lovely word, and it had, the so www.artistraw.co.uk was free, so it was like a really nice, one word simple thing, and yeah, just lovely kind of easy branding as well. You can just, went to town with all the shrew kind of drawings and stuff. So yeah, nice.
Because I'd seen the shrew and I'd read things you said about the shrew, but then it wasn't until I saw on your about page that that wasn't just you happened to pick a shrew. It was because that's the word, that's what it means and everything. So
yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah.
But you've gone into the cider really commercially, really quickly. And so it's natural cider. So tell us more about what does that mean, like the natural side of it?
So it means we're not adding anything. So we're not back sweetening it. It's not adding any sugar or any water. It's the only ingredients are apples. We're using wild yeast as well, so it's all wild ferments. So it's all, we do cold racking, so we're removing the yeast during the fermentation process to slow it down to kind of give a naturally sweet and sparkling cider. So yeah, basically just not.
So how did you is it just been trial and error? Did you have a recipe? Or because with ours it's just trial and error. It's like 1 year try this blend or this mix of apples, and are you just doing the same? But I guess you're being quite more organized in as much as you know your actual different ciders. You're across the Shrew-niverse in Gilbert's Choice, and you've given them names, so have you got like your recipes?
It is trial and error. I mean, it's, as you all know, it's sort of so dependent on the fruit you can get each year. So it's sort of it changes each year what's good and which orchards we can have get access to as well. So we're planting an orchard at the moment. We have been for the last 3 years, and it's kind of gradually growing. But the trees are still like whip thin at the moment, so they're not going to be giving us any fruit for a while. So yeah, we've got access to a few other orchards, and it's sort of really kind of what we can get out of those. And then we kind of, there are some blends that we know work from experience, and we try and replicate those each year, but they're never the same. You never get the same type of cider twice, because it's depending on like how much sun they've had. People might not know that it's like, with wine, when people talk about like a good vintage, that's our latest thing, is Tom's planting a vineyard now. The vines are coming in April, but a no dig vineyard, right? So that's I've seen you say about that stuff. So we don't know if it'll work. We don't know if anyone has ever done it before, and there might be a reason no one's ever done it before, but we just laid our cardboard a while ago. And, oh my god, that's so exciting. Okay, I'm definitely going to be watching that. We were talking vines in as well, just like a little bit. Would you do it commercially? How many are you getting?
Well, we've got, at the moment, he's only getting 50, because we've heard it's quite labor intensive, and a lot of work and a lot of expense if you've got someone to put up all the wires and everything. So the royal we have been doing that ourselves, as in him. I've held posts and stuff, because we've got a lot of deer where we are, so we've got to keep the deer out, and that's a bit of a thing, is like putting up big fences to keep the deer out. So it's just 50 to start with, and then really not ruling out doing it commercially, because there's space there to do it where we are. But just sort of dipping our toe in the water a bit first.
Brilliant. Oh, that's so exciting. I watched a really interesting talk recently. I'll try and dig out the name of the farm. There's some guy in America who has sort of he's doing like grazing on all year round grazing in a vineyard, basically. So he'd had this system where he'd managed to elevate the vines high enough so that the sheep could kind of go underneath, but it was quite similar, like low intervention, so no heavy machinery going into the vineyard. But you might find that interesting, because it was kind of similar, not the same, but and
that's interesting.
Sort of plantings of co-planting like wildflowers and stuff underneath. So it had a really diverse range of stuff in there, not just kind of organic as well. So
roses at the end of the rows are supposed to be good. And the plan is to put a flower bed in there when I get around to that bit. But deer can jump. That's what we've got. Deer can jump is the problem. But then also, it's amazing. We put there's a woodland next to us, and we put a fence up between us and the woodland, high enough so that they couldn't jump over it. But didn't realize how tiny they can be to get under it as well. They can be really tiny. So they're really, and it's like it's this two-way, it's double-edged thing where like, when you see one in the field, it's just magnificent, and it's so lovely to see them, and the kids love it. And then you haven't got any fruit left on your tree, and you're like, oh. So
oh gosh, we're battling rabbits at the moment. That's our biggest problem. They're sort of digging at the roots of all of our new trees and stuff. It's just, oh, it's so annoying. I've got them living as well, and
you've got what? Sorry,
got them living in the polytunnel. I've been forcing Tom to like go and wee in there because I'm like, I've just read that sort of boy pheromones sort of really put them off. So poor Tom, every time he goes to the loo, I'm like, outside to the polytunnel, like.
Yeah. Is it working? Does it help?
Actually, yeah, it's amazingly effective. So yeah.
With
at the moment, but
a couple of people told us to that human hair, but especially men's hair, because if they use less shampoo, then it's more oily. Men's hair in worn women's tights keep deer away. So
gosh, how
yeah. Write that down, make a note. And before the pandemic, I spoke to our hairdressers at the end of our road and said, like, could I have like what you sweep up off your floor? And they were like, yeah, totally. but yeah, we didn't do it because of the pandemic and stuff. But maybe that's something we'll go back to.
Right, I'm getting on that.
Cool, yeah. So that's deer, but it's that pheromones that that thing. Yeah. Yeah, cool. So you recently launched your website.
Yes.
Did it go all right?
Yes, I mean, the launch was, we were delighted to launch it because it was it took me a year to sort of like get it together. So and it's still a template, so.
But it looks really good. It looks really smart. A year of like solidly tinkering, or not solidly for like a year, but like just a year before you kind of got headspace to start it. Did it feel like a big thing for you to have headspace to do? Is it not your natural kind of remit? Or
it's it's definitely not my natural remit, and I think it took us a year just because there are so many, it just takes forever, is what I discovered, sort of. So I did it on Shopwired, which was really good, actually. It was simple enough for me, having no experience of doing anything like that, to be able to kind of get through it and put it all together. But it was just kind of, I don't know, I just found it a bit tedious, to be honest. And like summer came and then I couldn't be bothered to do it then. So it's sort of, yeah. We also like selling alcohol, selling kind of heavy restricted, age restricted items, liquid, fragile stuff is always like slightly more complicated than, sort of selling vintage clothing, which is the other thing I do on Etsy. But yeah.
Yeah. Were you tempted to go down, seeing as you do Etsy for your vintage clothes, were you tempted to do Etsy for Aristraw?
We wouldn't be allowed.
They don't. I didn't know. No, they don't. Right.
There's all sorts of kind of caveats with our license, so we have to sort of have the age verification pop up, and then we're not allowed to accept debit card for some reason. So Herefordshire is unique in this thing that we're not allowed to take debit cards, which is proving a bit of a nightmare at the moment. So we can only do credit card and PayPal because you have to be 18 to have either of those things. So it's like this extra kind of age protection.
Right.
So I had all kinds of nightmares trying to stop people from being able to buy things on our website. So I spent like 6 hours on like the help desk with Stripe the night before we launched, trying to get that code in there because we realized we were in breach of our license. But
I bet, because like, all those, that's exactly what I was thinking. All those sorts of payment providers will just be built to let you accept cards. You don't pick whether it's MasterCard or Visa. So, wow. So it was Stripe that power your checkout, and they were able to help you with that. Just took a while.
Yeah. It was an emotional 6 hours. I was like best friends with the person who's helping me by the end of it, because she had no idea because they were like, no one ever asks this. But it's really odd. We're trying to sort of battle it at the moment with Herefordshire Council, because it seems really unfair that we're not allowed to accept debit cards when everyone else, like outside of Herefordshire, can.
Yeah. How did you even know that? I mean, well done you for reading the small print on your license and even knowing that, because I even thought about the age pop-up. I was like, I know you need an age pop-up, but you might not have known. So how did they flag that to you, or were you just reading the small print?
No, the license is sort of, I suppose if you get it wrong, it's so bad, isn't it? So prison and all sorts of things they threaten you with. I'm sure it wouldn't come to that, but still, it's sort of something we made sure we definitely had all like a checklist of all the things we needed on it, and made sure that we found that Shopwide could do all that stuff before we started.
Yeah, cool. So Herefordshire Council kind of gave you a, if you're selling online, this is what you need to be aware of, sort of thing.
And we've got a sort of general premises license for here, so we can sell at the farm gate as well. And it's, yeah, I mean, it's like 50 pages of kind of doom with this license. There's like so much stuff in it, and we spent ages kind of getting it in as well and sort of getting it approved. So we kind of know it back to front anyway, what we're kind of allowed to do. But,
right, cool.
Yeah.
And did you like Stripe? Did you find Stripe support helpful? It took a while, but are you sort of happy with Stripe overall?
Yeah, they were really good actually. Yeah, so far no complaints with them. It's
yeah, I like Stripe. They're a big company now, but they do seem to actually be people.
And I could still talk to a person, which was great. I mean, that was, and it was sort of an online kind of, you know, typing and chatting kind of situation, but it was really good. And it was Friday night, and this poor woman, I kept on like apologizing, but she was like, we were on there for like literally 5 hours.
Wow.
Like 9 o'clock in the evening, and no, they were so helpful. So yeah,
it was good that you could even like do what you needed to do, that Shopwire had the facility for you to be able to tinker with the settings in there. I guess you had to go quite under the bonnet, I expect, did you?
A little bit. I mean, they so Shopwired, I think so Stripe is sort of the recommended one that they kind of pair with. So I think they're sort of linked with that company somehow. So actually it seemed to work quite well. And a lot of them, Shopwired's kind of help manuals have got they sort of link you back to Stripe, and it's quite, they've got sort of lots of stuff about how to use Stripe on their website as well. So, and they're quite good in their kind of communication as well. I find like they really explain it as though you know absolutely nothing about computers, which is perfect for me. So,
how did you find Shopwired?
I really like them. The reason we chose them initially, because we looked at Shopify as well, but we went for Shopwire because they're in the UK basically, and we heard that their help desk was really good, which it has been. So yeah, I'm on first name terms with the people on the sort of the email help chat thing. But yeah, it sort of all seemed to be a person, which is nice. So yeah.
Were there any others you considered, like Shopify, Shopwired?
Just Shopify, actually. That was the only one we looked at, and it was basically because I'd heard of it, and then we kind of started looking further afield. And I think a friend said like maybe you should look at Shopwired as well, or I can't remember actually how we came across that one, but yeah, it's been really good.
And it's like, for people who are watching this and haven't heard, it's the same as Shopify in as much as you pay a monthly fee, and it's what we'd call a hosted solution, where you haven't had to like download the code and set it up and pay for hosting. You just pay them a monthly fee and your shop's there and stuff.
Exactly, yes. I can't remember how much it is, but it's not prohibitive. I think it's about £15-20 a month or something. So yeah.
And you could do it all yourself. You didn't get a developer involved or a designer? Well, you did your branding. Yeah,
I did all the branding myself as well. So it was just, it was all just me, which was very satisfying, you know, finally watching it.
And all the colours are perfect. So did you have to is it like all colour pickers, or is it like putting in code for changing the colours? You picked a theme and then customized it.
You can have whatever colour you want in there. So I mean, I'm pretty good at like photoshopping stuff. So I got the what are the name of the, is it the
RGB?
RGB, yeah, it's all of those sorts of numbers that you just put into it, and it can bring up your kind of brand colours and stuff. So that was all.
So so you've got an Etsy, you've got a few different Instagram profiles because you've got your finger in so many pies. I see you're doing some Instagram lives coming up with someone about women in cider and everything. So would you are quite technical, really, or are you quite digitally aware at least?
I'm getting there. I've like really sort of dragged myself into the 21st century the last year, I think.
All right, okay.
It's suddenly it's weird this year, like with the whole Instagram thing. I've suddenly been asked to kind of run quite a few Instagrams, so I'm sort of I've got 5 at the moment that I'm kind of managing. I seem to have accidentally become like an Instagram person.
What are your 5?
But so I've got there's a women in cider women, the community of women working in the cider industry. that I'm a founder of. And then there's a new one that we've just launched called Lift the River, which is a campaign to save the River Wye, which is under sort of huge threat from sort of algal blooms and industrial farming and stuff like that. So that's an art project as well as a citizen science project that Tom's heading up the citizen science bit, and I'm doing the art with a bunch of people. So yeah, so there's that. There's sort of my Aristraw Cider, of course, that one. And then I've got a vintage one, sort of vintage clothing, which sort of leads into my Etsy stuff. And then an art one that I just kind of dip into occasionally, but it's not very active.
You do beautiful cards and wrapping paper and things, don't you? And sell them. Yeah.
I don't get much time to do that. So it's sort of, that's definitely the one that I might just get rid of, but it's one thing too many.
Yeah, or just leave it, if it doesn't need to be touched, and then it's there if you enjoy it. It's just, don't feel the pressure to have to do anything on it when you've got other things going on.
That's true.
Yeah. So from when you did your website, so do you think there are any lessons learned? Is there anything you'd do differently if you were doing another one?
I think I would probably do it a bit quicker. Dallying over it for a year.
I guess you start paying their monthly fee from when you open the account, so you're paying before it's launched. I
think you get a 2-week trial to have a tinker and have a play and see if it's for you, and then after that you're paying the £20 a month or whatever it is. So I should have just kind of hurried up a bit on that and actually launched the thing. But I think there's always this, it's always easier, it would be easier the second time around, wouldn't it? I'd know what I was doing. I feel pretty proficient now, so
good. No, it's really clean and smart. I think it's really really good, clear checkout and easy to use and everything, and and exciting. You've got your different sections for Perry and cider. There's a bit of SEO stuff I'd wondered about. I might drop you an email, but I don't know if it depends if Shopwide would let you do it. Just sort of tweak some of the title tags and stuff on it. But that's just when I was looking at it and stuff.
That's something I'm still kind of trawling through, is all the kind of meta tags and all of that sort of stuff. But that's a whole journey of discovery, isn't it? Delving into what kind of meta tags to use and meta descriptions. And so I did a few of the pages, and then found I was getting off into hundreds of internet spirals and sort of how to get the most out of that kind of stuff. And I've gone back down that rabbit hole yet.
I thought your homepage title tag was really good though, especially because you start with what you do, and then you say Aristraw right at the end. And on your website, you're going to have said Aristraw so many times. If someone searches for Aristraw, they're going to find you. So you don't need to lead with that. Your kind of prime real estate is your homepage title tag for me. And you didn't lead with Aristraw. You led with natural cider or similar, and I think that is very good. And I think most people lead with their company name, which they don't need to. They're kind of wasting that prime spot because Google will know that it's you because of everything else on there. So I thought that one was very good.
Cool. That was accident. Glad I got that. Definitely not intentional. I won't change.
So part of the reason for asking you to come and talk to me today, and thank you so much, it's so awesome of you, was that I thought you were very brave, because I saw a Facebook post announcing you were going to launch your website on Saturday, and I was like, no, you tell people after it's gone live in case anything goes wrong. But you did it, and did it all go fine?
It was fine, and you know what, that was terrifying, and I was like, have I done the right thing? And then we had that thing happen with Stripe the night before, where suddenly and it was a total panic, and I was like, oh god, now I've said I'm going to launch this website, not ready, which is so it did cause a layer of stress. But actually having the kind of build up and having it's going to be launched at 11 o'clock in the morning, we had loads of orders in the first hour because people were kind of waiting for it, which was really interesting. The first day was great. We did really, really well and almost sold out of everything on the website.
Brilliant.
So I'm going to sort of try that tactic for other so we'll have quite a few sort of new releases on the cider front. So we're trying to do kind of seasonal releases. So we're just about to start bringing out our spring stuff. So I'll start doing some kind of social media stuff ahead of that, and we'll do a sort of, it'll happen on Saturday at a whatever time we decide, and we'll try and drum up sort of interest ahead of that. But it seems to be quite a good tactic I've found.
Yeah, no, I think for offers and stuff, I always thought it's a bit scary. I guess with Shopwired, you are literally clicking a button for it to go live and stuff, rather than being reliant on the internet propagating and moving files and stuff like with if we like code a launch. But yeah, I know. Do you see Max Made Me Do It? Do you follow Max Made Me Do It on Instagram?
No.
So they do amazing art prints, and they're always doing sort of sale starts at 6 tonight, or this is going on the website at 6 tonight, or whatever. And I think that must really really drive people there ready for it.
Yeah, people get excited about that, I think, don't they? It's sort of, yeah. But yeah, you're right. Sort of the I mean, the only thing I had to do to launch ours was just take off the holding page, which was literally kind of swiping a toggle button. So it was very simple.
All right, cool.
If it had been any more complex, I wouldn't have been quite so bold. Even that was quite scary. We were both there, like, is it 11 o'clock yet? And like,
yeah.
Bang.
Synchronized watches.
Yeah, like anyone. Yeah, checking.
Ooh, but they obviously were. If you got loads of orders in the first hour, that's really good. So have you, I guess you've built up quite a following just from offline as well, just from like real world going to events and things, so people know of you and everything.
Yeah, I mean, we sorted it, and we started. So we launched this in 2017, and the first year we made 400 litres, so it was tiny, and we did one market, and then kind of, yeah, that was kind of it really. And then year two we started doing a few more markets, and yeah, but not regular ones. It was more food festivals, so we weren't really building up like a regular following of people. We were just kind of, I don't know, sort of there in the background, and people liked it when they saw us, you know. And then this year we've kind of pushed it a lot more, and been a bit more active on social media and stuff, and tried to, well, yeah, got a few new wholesalers as well, which has helped. So
Oh wow.
yeah, which is that's been really good, because they've in turn kind of pushed us as well.
Yeah.
It feels like we've suddenly kind of got this a bit of traction within kind of the cider world, and people who are interested in trying sort of new ciders and stuff, especially natural cider. So yeah, getting lots.
That's huge, getting wholesalers.
Yeah, it's been really good. It's yeah, been really, really helpful having some people to take some of the stock off of our hands. But
Do
yeah.
you think the pandemic has affected things negatively, or has it just given you headspace to focus on things like that? Or
Weirdly, I think it's been positive for us, because we were always hoping, we always wanted to age our cider a bit more. So actually suddenly not having the pressure to do all these markets and food festivals we booked up for meant that we were able to sit on our stock for a bit, and then have some in hand, and have some that was like, you know, aged and sort of a year old. So it's, yeah, we think it's sort of a nicer product actually. So we can kind of, having this year in hand actually has been really good for us. And I think as well, like, the markets are brilliant. They're really nice to do, and you know, I'll always love going and talking to people in the flesh. But the return you get from doing that, and the amount of setup and things like that, and kind of lugging all stuff to normally, you know, places that aren't actually that close to here, it doesn't really kind of pay in the same way that, you know, being able to sell directly from here does. So that's it's been quite a good lesson, seeing that we can actually still sell cider without having to drive for an hour and get up at like 5 in the morning and like go and stand in the rain in some market stall with lots of other competition.
yeah, yeah, and because it's so expensive as well, just like having a pitch at these things, isn't it? Just either a fee or a percentage of what you make or whatever. It's just really,
yeah. And when we did the last really big one we did was Abergavenny Food Festival, which cost us, I think it was like £500 for 3 days to even be there, which was, for a small producer, it's just so much money. So yeah, we probably won't do that one again.
You mentioned, like, so it's great that you can sell from where you are. How did you go about choosing? What I think is a huge thing to have to think about. You've sorted out your website, as if that's not enough. Then you've got to think about couriers in what you're doing, and like working out how much it is to post stuff. So were you just spoilt for choice on couriers as well, or was that bit all right?
No, so we're really good friends with lots of people in the cider industry. So we just kind of put a call out to some of our friends and said, who are you using? Like, how are you doing this? And everyone kind of came back with the same courier pretty much. So everyone is APC, because they've got this, they've got a liquid handling service, so they don't put sort of all the cider bottles through their kind of machines and stuff. It's all done by hand, so the breakages are much less, and you pay, I think it's 65p per box for that service, but it does mean that it's kind of a lot safer. And so yeah, we absorb a bit of the cost of the postage, but it's, yeah, they're not the cheapest, but having that kind of security is definitely worth it.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
cool.
So that was, but yeah.
So you've got some product launches coming up. Is there anything else you're thinking of doing on the website?
I think that's probably it for now. It's we're trying to sort of be a bit more active on our blog as well, and trying to write some more blog posts, just because both of us kind of like writing, but I don't know if anyone will ever read them, but it's quite a nice thing to do.
You really know, it's really good to, because also if you have them, I'm just looking at your website now, do you have your blog posts pulling through to your homepage? You don't. If there was a way in what you're using to get your blog post shop-wide, to get your blog post onto the homepage, that would be good for your SEO, because that will keep your homepage fresh when you blog. And this is the tiny little thing, this is the only thing that I thought when I was clicking through stuff, is your blog post, what's in a name, where I learned about the shrew, the title, what's in a name, isn't clickable. And I don't know if you can change that, but if you could make that title click through to the blog post, that would be good as well, because that is then your anchor text, that is the words. It's just more unique and more different than all the links being read the full article, read the full article, read the full article.
Yeah.
Because the shrew picture does, so you've got the thumbnail links to the blog post and read the full article links to the blog post, but just the actual title doesn't, and it would be good if the title did.
Yeah, that's a really good tip.
What's in a name? And let me just look at how you've got your title on a. That's I'll have to have another look at how they've actually done your blog post. I guess one of the ones, when I asked like other ones you've thought about, was if you considered WordPress when you were looking, just because people go crazy for WordPress, don't they?
Yeah, we actually had forgotten about that journey of discovery. Yeah, we did even start doing a WordPress, and I found it completely baffling is probably the correct word to use. Like I literally just couldn't use it. It was far too advanced for me. And I didn't find the help desk that helpful either. And yeah.
Was that on WordPress.com, or did you like download the code?
I mean, this was the other thing. I think I had both, and I was so unclear about which was which that I just kind of out with it, and I just felt like a total idiot whenever I tried to speak to anyone there. So
no, not at all. No, so WordPress.com is like the equivalent of your ShopWired and your Shopify, where it's hosted and you pay so much a month. But WordPress.org, you go there and you download the code if you're a developer, and you set it up and you upload it to your server and you actually do coding. So but yeah, if you had gone to WordPress.com and started something and then you like Googled it, I wouldn't be surprised if then you found yourself on WordPress.org and it all just felt a bit weird and got confusing and stuff. No, so that's interesting, because WordPress say they power 40% of the internet. And that's insane. That is insane, isn't it? And I think people used to love them. They used to be really easy to use, and I think some people do still love them, but they've gotten a lot more complicated. Well, as it's moved away, as it's tried to become everything to everyone, it's gotten a lot more complicated. Yeah, so then, but I'm a bit concerned about the SEO of your blog, because of how the blog content isn't in the source code. So I'm going to have a look at that and see if there's anything else I can. Oh no, it is there. It's just not laid out. It's kind of pulled through in a weird way. It's just all in one line. And have you got a H1 tag? Maybe it might be something to do with the pop-up, because that's coming up in this, the RU18. So now I'll have a look at that. I could ultimately see that. So I've just searched for, because you say the words FA Cup final, I've searched for FA Cup final in the source code of your page, because the source code is what Google says, and I can see that there. So it is, the content is pulling through. So there is SEO benefit to the blogging. But yeah, because at one point it was a bit like, oh, is it even being shown to Google, or is it kind of being hidden? But no, it is there. It's just slightly unusually laid out. But yeah, see if you can make the title a link through, because that would be cool.
Yeah, I'll have to play with that.
Cool. Cool. Well, thank you ever so much for talking to me today.